Welcome back to my channel, guys. Okay guys, this is a video that a number of you have been requesting me to do for a number of months now. Okay, I'm going to put it out there so that you guys can get some understanding of what you need to do when you start making that big money trading. Okay, so first of all, you know, when you are making a lot of money on a consistent basis, you do have to declare it. Okay, it's as simple as that. Now, probably there's a couple of different options, but I suppose the best option is to create a company, okay, and then put it through the company. That's probably the best option. You know, you can go in another option, and I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but creating your own company is definitely the best way to do it. Okay. So first of all, you have to create your own company, but how do you do that? Well, if you do that in certain countries like the US, Ireland, the UK, you know, you're going to be absolutely slaughtered with tax. For example, in Ireland and the UK, you're going to be paying over 40% tax. And then if your company generates more than a certain amount each year, i.e., in the UK it's 85k, well then you also have to pay 22% VAT. Okay, so you can see that when you make big money, you're paying out big money. So I was very, very lucky, because when I first started making big lumps of money all of those years ago, I had a friend who was an accountant, who knew a different accountant, who knew another accountant, who put me in touch with an accountant that could open a company for me, okay, but not in the country that I resided in a different country. So there's a number of countries in South America and also in the Caribbean. I mean, there's not loads, there's a handful. There's a handful of countries where you don't have to be a resident to open a company. So what you do is you rent a PO box, and you know, this is completely legal, all over the board, and you have to get a firm in that country to set it up for you, an accountancy firm, and you actually rent a PO box. You then create your company. Your company address is actually the PO box. And then you go from there. Obviously you need to open the bank account, but you don't have to be a resident. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to visit the country. Okay, now there's a lot of companies out there that actually do it. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, and they're based in Europe, their company, in terms of where they've set their business up, it's not in the country that they actually play their football. Right, it's actually a Caribbean country, and their address is actually a PO box. One of the biggest social media companies out there is also based in the Caribbean. Again, their address is a PO box, and one of the biggest supermarkets in Ireland and the UK is also registered in the Caribbean, and again, their address is a PO box. So I mean, there's nothing dodgy about it. It's not illegal. As a matter of fact, it's very, very clever. So that's what I done all those years ago when I started to make big lumps of money, because I'm the one that's taking the risk trading. So why would I give half of it away to the government? It's nuts. It doesn't make sense. So I was very lucky that I knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody that put me in touch with somebody else. You are going to save a lot of money doing this, but obviously you've got to be careful. As I said, I was lucky enough to be put in contact with somebody. But if you're doing your own research, obviously you've got to be very, very careful. But I mean, that is what you need to do, guys, because if you're in the US, if you're in Europe, you're just going to pay a ridiculous amount of tax, and you're the one that's taking all the risk, right? So that's how you get around paying less tax, okay, is opening up a company in these countries in South America and the Caribbean. Now, I don't know if they do it anywhere else in the world. I just know that in South America and the Caribbean, they're the ones that I know of. Because most countries, guys, you've got to be a resident. For exactly Dubai, you can't open a company in Dubai if you're not a resident. You have to spend X amount of days in the country. So there is a handful of these countries in the Caribbean and South America where you don't have to be a resident. But also there is certain circumstances where you cannot do that. Okay, so you can do that for certain types of businesses. But for example, my trading community, the Sambora trading community, I can't do that. I has to be registered in the country that I was operating in. And the reason for that is when you have a community of several hundred members, which I do, I have several hundred members in my trading community. You have to purchase tax, okay? You have to, not tax, you have to purchase insurance. So you actually have to insure your community when you have that many people in your community, and it's a special kind of insurance as well. You cannot get insurance if your company is not registered in that company. So I do have one company registered in the UK, and that is purely just to funnel the revenue that I make from my trading community to there for the outlined reasons. And I mean, you know, luckily enough, I mean, I don't make money from my trading community. I don't make much money at all. So, you know, the tax that I do pay, I mean, it's not substantial, right? Because you've got to be making big money to be paying big money out in tax. So there is certain circumstances where you're not going to get around it. And, you know, for example, my trading community, I can't get around it any other way. So we might re-register in Malta because I'm here now. I'm a resident here, so I'll probably take the business over here, and you know, the tax incentives here are definitely better than the UK and Ireland. So, but anyway, guys, I hope that provided some kind of education for you guys that are making big money, because I know there's quite a number of you out there that are making really, really decent money. And as a matter of fact, there's a number of you in my trading community that were in contact with me a number of months ago asking me about coming out to Malta, but you don't fancy leaving the country that you're currently residing in because of family, etc. Well, this is a good way to navigate around that, is to open up a company in one of these countries in South America or the Caribbean. Okay, so I mean, I'm no expert. I just was introduced to somebody. They took me through the process. Listen, obviously there's fees that you've got to pay. You've got to pay accountancy fees. You've got to pay administration fees. You've got to pay fees to rent your PO box every year. But the cost to set this kind of company up in these countries, you know, is minute considering what you're actually going to save on tax. So I hope that was some kind of help to some of you guys. You know, if you're going to do it, make sure you do your research and be very careful, because obviously there is some dodgy accountants out there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've never done a video like it. Probably won't do another one like it, because that's it done now. Next week we go again, same as usual. Have a fantastic week. You know, it's roasting here now in Malta, working on my suntan, and life is good. Life is good, but you've got to make clever choices to retain the money that you're making, right? You know, I did, I still have, and life is good. I'll see you guys again very soon for more videos.